Welcome and thank you all for coming this Sunday morning to be a part of this special gathering in spirit. My belief is that we connect the most to spirit in our meditation. So I would encourage anyone to have a regular daily meditation practice. And particularly if you could empower your meditation with a graceful factor. You know what I mean by that? A graceful factor. So I'll explain a little bit. These mantras that I chant with you are empowered. They're different than what you might find on Google or ChatGPT. AI could certainly give you a great mantra and you could chant it all day long. But if you receive a mantra or a power word from the true enlightened being, now you have something. I call that, or I term that as an initiation. It's a very mystical concept, but does anyone remember the story of Jesus sending out the disciples 2 by 2 into the different cities to preach the good news? Does anyone remember that story? In that moment that he asked them to do that, he kind of like heal the sick and cast out demons and so on and so forth. That was an initiation. He empowered them. Meaning they were in the presence of a holy being who was united with God. And so by that being sort of telling them, now you are capable of it, there they were. And they went around and miracles happened wherever they went. That's an initiation. So in one way, you could say that has been my path as well. I met Swami Purna in 2008 at a spiritual retreat. And immediately when he walked into the room, I felt a presence that was so powerful, it did overwhelm me, and I was crying. The love was so vast, so beautiful, so big, I could barely stand it. I mean, that's what it was like. And I recognized that this would be my teacher. This would be my guide to cross the crazy ocean of my own mind that's been torturing me for so long. This mind, it doesn't give up the ghost, it keeps thinking. It doesn't want to give up. So I went to that retreat in 2008. By the way, that was in New York City. Ironically, New York City, the capital of capitalism. And I meet this holy being that came from India. Great being. They call it an avatar. Anyone know the word avatar? I mean, actually the movie called Avatar. He wasn't glue. But he was magnificent. So then what happened at the first break of the retreat, I got out, and I went to go visit my friends in the room that I was staying at. We were just talking casually. And then I said to them, what's happening to me? I had shifted into another state of consciousness. And I was watching the room, and I wasn't inside Brian. Interesting, isn't it? I wasn't inside the body. I was sort of the presence that was running through the entire room, watching everyone. I thought, oh, I've now experienced it. I am not the body. Body is a kind of costume, but I'm not in this thing. That's a deep understanding and awareness. I was shocked, because it's easy to say that. Oh, you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're pure spirit. Very easy to say that. but to experience it directly, that's real living proof that it's possible. Many people can preach all kinds of amazing spiritual principles, and yet, are they truly experiencing it in reality? That's a whole other thing. Then, such a being comes and holds a gathering, and what are they doing? They're transmitting this awareness. They're not giving information. They're transmitting a spiritual power or understanding that helps others to awaken to the fact that you're not the body and not the mind and not the sort of material person. You are infinite consciousness. So that is the role of an avatar, a messiah, a guru, a saint, those beings that have gone beyond. They're experiencing something different than normal human consciousness. That's why I lit the candle for my teacher. Because when you honor the teacher comes to you and says, how can I help? You get some nice, beautiful flowers. Teacher loves that too. So that's also why we have altars. Does anyone have an altar at home? Raise your hand. Yeah, a number of people. Like half the people have altars. That's great. Wonderful. And what you do is you have the pictures of your teachers there, and every day you offer them something as a word of thanks, appreciation, love. Thank you for your presence in my life. Every time you acknowledge it. It could be a spirit guide, it could be an angel, whoever it is. It could be Jesus, it could be Mother Mary. Whoever you like the best, whoever makes your heart sing, it really doesn't matter. You have to make up for yourself who you like. The whole world is not going to be the same as you. So you have your personal altar, and that offering or appreciation for the deity or the master or the Messiah is called devotion. It's the word for devotion. You just want to express your love towards God in this particular form, in this particular format, if you want to call it. And every time you express your love to that being, what do you think happens? Not only do they come to you, and they're like, hey, let's be friends. We'll walk together and talk together and drink together and eat together. There was one guy who was one particular guru, I think, and he went on a plane everywhere he went. He bought an extra seat on the plane. And he put his little statue of his deity next to him in the seat. And people wondered, why did you buy two seats? Well, my deity is sitting next to me. Can't you see him? It's like this tiny statue. I mean, that's so cute. So cute. And that is devotion. And so they come to you, and they bless you, and they awaken the deity within you. Because technically the deity isn't outside of you. It is within you. All the deities, I don't care which one you name, it is inside you. The question is, do you feel that energy and presence alive? Or, again, is it just a ritual? Many people will follow religions and do these rituals just because their parents did it, and their parents' parents did it, and that's the way they're supposed to, and there's this very specific method. Who cares about methods? You're talking about this being a radical church? That's a good statement. Who cares about structure and methods? You know what matters? Do you love your God? Does your heart sing when you think about that being? I don't know, it could even be a tree. If you really see God in the tree, and you really love a particular tree, then every day your worship to that tree is, giving it a little bit of water and a circle around the tree, sprinkling some flowers around the trunk of the tree. Whatever it is. I mean, that's a beautiful practice. Maybe it's Mother Nature, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a look in a specific way. Personal to you, that is devotion. That's why I love Reverend Randy's idea of radical spirituality, because then that means everyone is going to be different. There's going to be a certain key to unlock your heart that's going to be unique for you. To go to a church and say, this is the way, doesn't work for people. It just doesn't. It squelches the natural sweetness of the heart that wants to express its own feelings of love, how it wants to. So, and in fact, I would say that unity in general, I've done a lot of gatherings for unities and a lot of talks all over the United States, and unity has been the most accepting of what I'm sharing out of any church group. Unity has been the most open-minded. So, I mean, that's saying a lot. And, what I'm sharing with you also is very mystical. Meaning, you talk about receiving teachings from the great spiritual being or the avatar. What they do as they initiate you into that practice, you've got certain energy channels and energy centers that open inside you that are now aware and understand that spiritual practice that you were just given. So when you do that practice, now it's empowered, and that's why I'm going back to that original subject. It's strengthened, it's energized. So when you say, now that you've been exposed to Ruka de Kucha, the Holy Spirit, you've been in a space where now your system recognizes it. You can go home and chant Ruka de Kucha, sing it everywhere. Sing it to go to the store and sing it to the cashier if you want. You can even bring your drum. Wherever you go, you could chant that mantra, and it's magnified now. That's mystical. Not an unusual thing. Again, besides Jesus, who initiated the disciples, there have been many great gurus and saints that have initiated other people and passed on their teachings to the next generation. This is a common thing. Like, I'm not talking about something that's unknown or mysterious. So it would be my great delight if I could just share a few of the spiritual practices that you could use in your own meditation to empower your practice. So when you sit down after chanting Ruka de Kucha, you feel the energy. You sense it, your system. It's like percolating through your system. And it sends you into meditation and a lovely, joyful place. And then why not sit for hours? Who cares about work or school? At that point, you won't care. You won't. You will forget everything. It won't matter what your appointment schedule is. You're too far gone and absorbed in the Holy Spirit. That's what happens. It's so blissful. That's why I like to share what I'm sharing with you. Because I've experienced such delight. I thought, what worked for me has got to work for other people. So, I'll tell you, do you want to know the story of how I got here? Yes. So I always forget, like, what is he doing here for? So I forget to even tell. So what happened, so I told you I met Swami Purna in 2008. I just fell in love with him and had a beautiful spiritual experience with him. And So I said, well, I wonder when he's going to give me some specific guidance. Like, tell me, I'd love to follow some of his guidance. And, he didn't really say anything. He just said, here's a few mantras, just keep chanting and keep working on yourself. I said, okay. So I was working on myself, working on my issues, trying to clear out my negativity, my depression, my sadness, all that stuff. What we all do to try to work on ourselves on a daily basis. Just waiting patiently. Finally, in 2012, I went to go see him in Miami, Florida. And I had a darshan, or a holy meeting with him. And he kind of called me in. It was a surprise. And I said, oh, hi, Swamiji. I call him Swamiji. That's like my love term, Swamiji. Like when you call your dad Daddy or something, Swamiji. So, term of affection. He says, Brian, now that you've done all this work, it's time for you to renounce your old life and set out on the road and share spiritual gatherings with others. Share the energy, share the spiritual energy with others. Get a van, put a bed in the van, and set out and go share. And that was a 3-minute conversation. I didn't really say anything, except okay, yes, of course, I'll do it. And then I left. Then what did I do? I went home to my apartment. I had a little garage sale in my apartment. And I took all my nice clothes, the ones that you have ties and nice shirts and pants. I gave it all away to a store that was looking for clothes for the needy or whatever. And then I bought a van, put a bed in the van, and then set off into the sunset. Like Kwai Chang Kang in Kung Fu. Who knows if you ever even seen that show? It's a great show. So, and wandered from place to place. And, try to set up gatherings. And at first I was really, the first gatherings that I held, I was so surprised. I said, the energy is so beautiful. I'm amazed. And then, I would enter into a town I didn't know anyone. And at that time, when I first started, that was in 2012, I was too embarrassed to ask for help. So instead of, let's say asking Randy, for instance, I was going to call him Uncle Randy, but Uncle Randy, I don't know why that. Reverend Randy. And instead of asking for him for help, I would just say, I'll just stay at a park. So I literally would stay at a park in the middle of town and sleep in my van in the bed, and then go to the park bathroom and just sponge bath myself. That's how I lived. But after a while, I said, maybe I'll just open my mouth and ask for help. So I started putting it out there. And then bit by bit, people started inviting me into their homes. They didn't even know me. Who is this guy? And then sometimes they would love it so much, I would stay with them for weeks. Became a part of their family. And actually that happened with Reverend Randy. Like his family came over. And he says, come in, Brian, to our living room. You're part of our family now. Great. How many families do I have now? So many. And that's how I've been doing it, literally for the past 12 years, without a home. Call it homeless if you want to call it homeless. You know where my home is? This is where my home. This is so full of delight that I don't need a physical home to feel safe or comfortable. I don't need money or things or friends or family even. None of that. What matters most is the illumination of my own heart. The radiance of that, I call it like a sun. So people ask, what kind of path are you following? What kind of monk are you? Well, I'm not quite sure. I'm walking in sunlight everywhere I go. That's my path. The sunlit path. In India, they would call it a wandering sadhu, a renunciate. So that's a little bit of my background. I wanted to, before I conclude, mention to you that it would be my great honor to have you attend the gathering afterwards at 1 o'clock. It's much more of an immersion into the energy, and it's almost like an activation period or a soaking in the Holy Spirit, if you want to call it that. That sounds good, soaking in the Holy Spirit. Like you're taking a bath, but you're taking a bath in light. We don't have any bathtubs here, but bathing in the light is really the purpose of the gathering.